Good evening, Hofstra fans, and welcome to a very special spooky sports beat. I'm your host, Chris Rotondo, and we've got a great show for you tonight. There is a lot to talk about in the world of professional sports with the NHL season underway, the NWSL entering the postseason, and the Champions League round of 16 starting to take shape. In addition to talking about the pros, we'll also take a look into your Hofstra Pride, including a special interview with a member of the Hofstra women's soccer team. And before we leave for the night, we'll take an inside look at the Hofstra Pep Band. So don't go anywhere, Hofstra fans, because Spooky Sports Beat starts right now. Joining me now to talk about the Champions League is Antonio Schoenhardt. What are your thoughts on this year's bigger teams like Barcelona, AC Milan, Juventus, and Atletico Madrid possibly dropping into the Europa League after having rather disappointing starts to their UEFA season?
Well, to start first with Barcelona, Barca have proven to show brilliance in their own domestic league, but have just fallen short in European competition. Juve have had an absolutely abysmal start to their season, both domestically as they're 8th in Serie A and now 3rd in their Champions League group stage. AC Milan and Atletico Madrid have had a bit more bad luck than they have wished for. But if both teams manage to string together 2 victories in the final 2 match days of the Champions League, they should push their way into the round of 16.
I definitely agree, but I do want to spot on Barcelona a little bit. La Masia, young talent all the time. Why can't they get it done in the UCL?
Well, when it comes to that, it just comes down to their injuries. With key players like Araujo and Christensen out and injured, their back line is struggling, and that was very apparent, especially in the second leg against Milan.
I definitely agree. Group A is already basically confirmed with Napoli and Liverpool both big on points against Ajax and Rangers. Do you feel both teams will make a deep run coming into the round of 16?
I definitely think Napoli will. Before the Champions League season even started, if you asked me, how's Napoli going to do, I would have told you really well. Over the last 3 years, they've only gotten increasingly better, and now they sit at the top of the Serie A table, as well as 3 points clear in their Champions League group. When it comes to Liverpool, however, especially with the loss of Sadio Mane, even though Nunez is there now, still doesn't matter. After losing Mane, they just haven't been the same offensively.
He truly is a one-of-a-kind attacker, Sadio Mane. But Coach Jurgen Klopp, one of the best coaches in recent memory for the Reds, known to make excuses for his players' lackluster performances. Do you think his lack of ability to hold his team accountable is going to affect them deep in the Champions League?
Honestly, I don't even know if it comes down to that. I think it just comes down to their overall play style. Sure, they scrapped a win against Man City the other day, but in the big stage, in the European competition, I just don't know if they're a competent team to go deep into the knockout stages. Realistically, especially now, if we're talking about the 7-season Jurgen Klopp curse, I honestly see them as first-round exits in the round of 16.
All right. Who's your too early pick to take home the UCL trophy in June?
So anytime I get asked this question, the only obvious answer is Real Madrid. Up until this point, they have proven that they are the team to beat. And until anyone steps up and actually beats them, that should be everyone's answer.
I totally agree. They have old veteran talent in the midfield mixed in with young talent. Camavinga, young talent, second, I believe, in the Young Player of the Year award voting.
Absolutely.
And you have a veteran in Luka Modric who's been there before. He's done it 3 times in a row. He's that guy.
Even with their defense, with Militao and Lisandro Martinez, they are playing incredible defense. Even with David Alaba and Rudiger, their back line will be set no matter who the opposition is.
I agree. Who can you see as an underdog that will make a far run in the UCL, but maybe not do too well domestically?
Honestly, my choice for this would be Dortmund. Even though we don't, they shouldn't be considered an underdog this year because of the caliber of other teams. Despite them being one of the top 3 clubs in the Bundesliga, they are definitely one of the dark horses going into this Champions League tournament. And I do think they'll at least push into the semifinals. They have the young talent and the coaching to get there, and I believe we will see them there.
I hope so. But to touch on the Bundesliga standings right now, Borussia Dortmund sits 8th.
Indeed.
With the talent in Jude Bellingham, young central midfielder, do you feel that he can take that Borussia Dortmund team and roll them deep into the Champions League?
Absolutely. You know, when it comes to the Champions League, yeah, sure, you could be playing bad domestically, but when it comes to Champions League, it matters about if you can show up to the pitch and play on that specific day. And so far in the Champions League, Dortmund has proved that they can.
They can. Jude Bellingham in particular. Definitely taken on a big leadership role in that Dortmund side at the age of 19.
Absolutely. And, you know, this isn't to take anything away from Jude Bellingham, but with Gavi winning France Football's Youngest Player of the Year award, I kind of feel as if Jude Bellingham got snubbed. One can make the argument that Jude Bellingham means more to Dortmund than Gavi means to Barcelona. Not saying that Gavi is a bad player, just kind of in the reference that, you know, Gavi is there as well with Pedri and other superstars around him. Jude Bellingham, not so much.
I agree. Thank you, Antonio. Thank you, Antonio, for joining me to talk about the Champions League. Staying on the soccer pitch, the NWSL playoffs are in full swing. Our own Rachel Fisch has an update on how the brackets are lining up in a record-breaking postseason.
What's up, Sports Beat fans? I'm Rachel Fisch, and welcome to our NWSL playoff update. The first round of the tournament got underway this past weekend, and the semifinals are set for this Sunday. So let's break down who will be fighting for the NWSL Shield. First, it was the Kansas City Current who defeated the Houston Dash 2-1. Kayla Delfava was the hero for the Current, scoring her first NWSL goal and game winner 10 minutes into added time at the end of the game. Luweyu Limbata also scored for the KC, while Sophie Schmidt was the lone goal scorer for Houston. The Current will now prepare to face the top seed OL Reign, led by U.S. internationals Megan Rapinoe and Rose Lavelle. This match set for a record largest crowd in NWSL playoff history as 21,284 people sold out PNC Stadium in Houston. The other side of the bracket had their own fair share of drama, where first-year expansion team San Diego Wave took down the Chicago Red Stars 2-1 after 2 periods of extra time. The score was even at 1 thanks to Yuki Nagasato for Chicago and Emily Van Egmond for San Diego. But then the league's top scorer, Alex Morgan, ended the game in favor of the Wave. The U.S. NWT legend struck a beauty of a goal across the face of the net from outside the box 20 minutes into the second extra time period. This match shattered the attendance record set earlier in the day by the first game, with 26,215 people in the stands at Snapdragon Stadium. The Wave will now take on the 2-seed Portland Thorns, led by top goal scorer Sophia Smith and defensive anchor and national team captain Becky Sauerbrunn. All the teams left in the tournament were separated by just 4 points in the regular season. The winners of these two exciting matchups will meet on October 29th to see who brings home the trophy. That's all for our NWSL update. I'm Rachel Fisch. Back to you, Chris.
Thanks, Rachel. The Hofstra women's soccer team is looking for a berth in the CAA tournament, and this weekend's battle for Long Island couldn't be any more intense. Coming up, we'll have an interview with defender Anja Suttner with our own Amelia Bashy. All this after the break.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
Hey you! Yeah, you!
Have you ever wanted your work to be featured on live TV?
Then Director's Cut is the show for you.
But Katie, how do I apply?
It's easy. Just follow these 3 simple steps.
First, go to our Instagram at DirectorsCutHQ. And while you're there, give us a follow.
Next, click the link in our bio.
Finally, select the guest submission form and send us your best work.
All submissions are welcome, from your 27s to your senior films.
I am what hunger looks like in America. I am an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for the last day of school. Because this may be the last time I'll have lunch. Till September. I am a single father of 2 who works 3 part-time jobs, and that's still not enough to put food on the table. I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger.
Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Welcome back to Sports Beat. I'm Amelia Bashy, and joining me today is Hofstra women's soccer defender, Anja Suttner. Anja, thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Of course, it's an honor to be here.
You were named CAA Defensive Player of the Week. How does it feel to earn that honor?
To be fair, in the beginning, I didn't even know that I was named there because I don't have Instagram. And one of my teammates came up to me during practice and said, "Well, Anja, congrats on your award." And I was like, "Oh, what award, but thank you." And it doesn't really mean a lot to me because soccer is a team sport, and like winning as a team and losing as a team, doing everything as a team is way more important to me than any individual award or any goals that you score yourself. If we don't concede any goals, I'm way more happy than if I would win any individual award.
You've scored 4 goals this season, a new career high. How important is it for you to play such an attacking role as you do in defense?
I mean, I'm always happy to help out our attacking players by scoring goals, and it worked out pretty well this season. But to be fair, my role, my major role, is to defend and to prevent the other team from scoring, and to keep a clean sheet with the help of our back four and our goalie Sky. And I'm way more happy if we keep a clean sheet. But if I can help out our attacking players by scoring out of like corner kicks, free kicks and stuff, I'm very happy to do so. And I have to say that the crosses or the corner kicks that I'm getting are very good. So I just have to be in the right spot at the right time, and it worked out pretty well this season.
This team struggled at the beginning of the year, but now it seems that the team has found their footing. What were the key things to getting things back on track?
I think it was very hard in the beginning because we have lost a lot of experienced players, a lot of seniors, fifth players, and I was happy to play with them for all 3 years of my college career. And of course, we knew that it would be a struggle to get back on track. But I think lots of freshmen stepped up, and now they got to know the system and how we play. And I think they got used to it now a little bit more because lots of freshmen, they come from Europe, they are used to a different style of play. But now I think they adapted to it, as I said. And one very important thing that helped us getting back on track is actually scoring like one of the chances that we get, because we always outplay the opponents by, if you look at the stats, but we can't manage to do the most important thing in soccer, which is scoring goals. And if we keep being clinical in front of goal and become even more clinical, I think then we will be back on track and have a good game against Stony Brook, hopefully.
And speaking of Stony Brook, you have a huge game against them this weekend, and this is also the last conference game of the regular season. What's the mood like within the team?
I think everyone is just super excited to play that game, because even for me as a senior, it's probably one of the biggest games in my college career, because it's senior day, we have a lot of fans coming, and it's the last game in the regular season, and it's against Stony Brook, which is our local rival. And Simon is actually best friends with Toby, the head coach of Stony Brook, and we really have to win this battle. Toby is also the one who had recruited me and my teammate Fries. We were both recruited by him because Toby used to be the assistant coach of Hofstra, so we know him pretty well as well. And I just hope that we can beat Stony Brook in front of all our fans, in front of our families. That would be awesome.
How do you deal with any added pressure knowing your playoff fate is in your hands this game?
I mean, the good thing is that it's in our hands, that if we win, we make it to the playoffs. It's always better to have it in your hands. And I think most of the teammates are just really excited to play the game and to be part of such a huge game, playing in such a crowd, like in front of such a crowd. And I think it's more like positive pressure rather than like being anxious or anything.
How far of a run can this team make in the CAA tournament?
I think we can actually make it pretty far, but first of all, we have to qualify for the game, win against Stony Brook. But if we keep playing the way we are and scoring the goals and scoring some chances that we get, I think we can make it pretty far in the tournament, because I think in this conference everyone can beat everyone. It's a very tight conference, and as I said, if we keep scoring the goals and keep a clean sheet, it's actually going to be very hard to beat this team.
And you talk about fans and the supporters of the team. What has it meant to you to have all of that kind of energy at the games?
it's always amazing to play in front of a lot of fans and to know like people are actually very interested in what you're doing and they really support you and they scream your name, whatever, and they are super happy and people on campus come up to you after a win. It's the best feeling ever, just to feel like known and to feel important. And without the fans, we wouldn't play the way we are. And especially with the Stony Brook game coming up, I think we need a lot of fans, a lot of support, and then it's going to be very hard for Stony Brook to beat us.
And that's all the time we have. Thank you, Anja, for coming onto the show, and good luck with the rest of the season.
Of course, thank you very much.
Speaking of crowd energy, Hofstra sporting events would not be the same without the Hofstra Pep Band. We interviewed members of the band on their experiences bringing energy to the stands.
We're members of Pep Band. Our main goal in life is to play music and bring pep. We go to soccer, volleyball, and basketball are like our main cells. Like that's really what we're always consistently going to. So we set a call time at least an hour and a half, 2 hours before the actual event so Pep Band can get there, get ready, make sure we have all our instruments loaded and set, we can get to the game on time. And then as soon as call time hits, we start unloading our instruments, so all the members will help together to, load everyone's cars up. We'll travel to wherever the venue is. We'll get unloaded, set up, and then we'll get ready to start playing. And then the game ends. We have a routine if we win and if we lose, so depending on how it goes, we'll play those songs. And then we pack up and we head home. We debrief in the closet, and then that's it.
I love the camaraderie I start to see between students as the semester goes on. You see students go from basically strangers who have a common interest in music and playing their instruments to becoming best friends.
It's a place to go to meet like-minded people you didn't think you would know, because I would not be friends with half the people in Pep Band if I was not in there. And they're some of my best friends I've ever met. We had this new member last year. His name was Emmanuel. He's one of the members of our rhythm section. And people may not know him by name, but they probably could know him as the tambourine kid.
My name's Emmanuel Pratt. I am a drummer of the Pep Band, and I'm known as the tambourine guy.
There's Kate, Willie, and then there's Emmanuel.
I am the third mascot of Hofstra University.
People are free to be musically creative.
I just love that I can always just move around with it. I don't have to stay in one place like the rest of the band does. If there's a song with creative liberty with it, I can always just hop around, do my thing, move around, get people hyped, because that's our job in the most part. I'm jumping up and down. People literally start getting me riled up. They get me riled up, I get them riled up. They're more riled up after that.
People like when we are there at the game.
You see the appreciation from the crowd for what we're doing. We're supposed to bring a sort of hype to events. I think we do make a difference not only in people's moods, but in the outcome of the game to an extent.
I've never played a sport in my life, but I can imagine if you're on the field, you're going to perform better and be more energized if there are fans behind you that are cheering you on and are there for you to support you no matter what you do. That's pretty important that we're there to support the team and make sure that they know that there are people here on their side.
Welcome back to Sports Beat. We now move to the ice as the puck has dropped on the NHL season. Joining me now to talk about it all is Linney and Andres Santiago. What are your thoughts on this year's still young Rangers team that has the opportunity to chase the cup once again this season?
I gotta be honest, I really love how the Rangers put together their roster. From the backhand forward, starting with the most important position, your goalkeeping. And Igor Shesterkin, what more needs to be said? Vezina Trophy last year, he's far and above the best goalie in the league. Easily has a chance to repeat this year. And then you have Adam Fox and Keandre Miller in front of him, two very young and talented defensemen. And then you look at the forward core. You got Artemi Panarin and Mika Zibanejad, and that team could really make a run at the Cup this year.
I think you forgot to mention someone, Chris Kreider, who scored 50 goals last season. Definitely another key piece of that offense, as well as that you mentioned Shesterkin, of course, has another great chance of getting the Vezina. Fox and Miller on defense. It's very solid. Also, I want to mention a line that is really underrated that hasn't really been talked about that much in the NHL discussions. That is a line of Hedel, Kakko, and Lafreniere. They were so much fun to watch together in the playoffs. It is a tight checking line. Hedel is dominant in the faceoff circle. He's one of the best third-line centers in the NHL. Kakko is one of the more physical guys on that line, and Lafreniere, he can score a lot of goals, and he did so last year, potting in 19 goals. Only just 31 points, but he still had a great year last year. And this Rangers team, I think, definitely has a shot of winning the Cup this year.
Will Alex Ovechkin pass Gordie Howe in all-time goals, and how close will he get to Wayne Gretzky's goal record? If not, break it.
I think it's pretty much a given that he's going to pass Gordie Howe. I mean, you look at the career he's had. They may as well rename the Rocket Richard Trophy to the Alex Ovechkin Trophy at this point. You look at last year, he had 50 goals again, and he's only 112-ish goals behind Wayne Gretzky. So at this point, he needs another 50-goal season this year and next year. He's right there. So at this point, I feel there's a very good chance he could end his career as the NHL's top leader in goals.
I couldn't agree with you more. As you can tell, he's already scored 2 goals this season, and we're only 4 games into the season. He is 18 away from 800, which means that he is also 115 away from Gretzky. Gretzky has 897. Ovechkin can definitely end his career on top of that list. I definitely think he'll probably play another 2 or 3 years to try and get up to 900, and then once he retires, he will be the #1 goal scorer in NHL history.
Connor Bedard is one of the most highly touted prospects to date for this upcoming NHL draft, since Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews, for that matter. How do you think the NHL can prevent teams from tanking to obtain such a highly regarded prospect?
Tanking at this stage, when you have a prospect like Bedard coming up, it's almost inevitable. Who wouldn't want to get Connor Bedard on their team, especially if you're not a great team and you want to start really rebuilding your core? Connor Bedard is just a stellar player all around. But I think to prevent things like this, the NHL should look at what other leagues have done, such as the NBA, evening out the odds for the 3 worst teams, so that the worst team doesn't have the slightly boosted odds that they currently is in the NHL to get the #1 pick. And I feel like that could really de-incentivize tanking.
Personally, I would love Connor Bedard to go to all 32 NHL teams. He is that touted of a prospect. He is on pace for double the amount of points than games played. He is on pace for 124 points in 62 games, including 56 goals. That is insane. That hasn't been done by anyone ever since Gretzky. He definitely is going to be the #1 pick in the draft. I think he's either going to go to San Jose, Chicago, or Arizona, because those are the 3 teams that are destined to lose for Connor Bedard, because he can fit on each and every one of those teams and make them a cup contender within the next few years.
Now, if and when aging superstar Patrick Kane gets traded, which team could you see landing him?
One team I'd really love to see is the Florida Panthers. You look at the season they had last year, winning the President's Trophy. They had kind of a disappointing exit in the second round, but still, that team was amazing all year. They have such talent all around that roster, and they just got Matthew Tkachuk too. So if they got Patrick Kane, a line of Kane, Barkov, and Tkachuk, that would arguably be the best line in hockey. That team would be so hard to play against.
Okay. Patrick Kane is one of the best players in the NHL, but he is playing for a team that is destined to lose in Chicago. I personally would love to see him get traded to the Edmonton Oilers to play on a line with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. That is going to be probably the best line in the NHL. And if he gets traded to Edmonton and he plays on that line, the Oilers will have their best shot of winning a cup since they made it back to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2006.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris and Andres. Now we're going to shift gears to talk about your Hofstra Pride. Amelia Bashy joins us once again with your weekly Pride update.
Hey Sports Beat fans, I'm Amelia Bashy and welcome to your Pride Weekly Update. The Pride have games with playoff implications coming up, so let's get right into this weekend's slate. On Friday, the field hockey team begins a 2-game road trip to round out conference play, taking on Drexel at 4 p.m. The men's golf team also begin the Lehigh Invitational in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, held on Friday and Saturday. The Saturday slate continues in the Keystone State as the men's soccer team travels to Drexel, coming off a 1-1 draw against Virginia. That game kicks off at 1 p.m. The volleyball team look to continue their undefeated streak in conference play as they welcome the Delaware Blue Hens to the David S. Mack Physical Education Center. They come into this weekend series at 10-0 after beating UNCW last weekend and are on pace to surpass the program record 13 conference wins last done in 2018 and 2014. Game 1 of the 2-game series gets underway at 1 p.m. On Sunday, both field hockey and volleyball play their final CAA games of the season against Delaware. Field hockey gets things underway in the first state at noon, while volleyball hosts the Hens starting at 1. Be sure to pack the Hofstra Soccer Stadium on Sunday for the Battle of Long Island as the women's soccer team takes on Stony Brook for the first time in CAA play. The Pride have their fate in their own hands coming off of a 2-1 win against Charleston on Sunday. The Pride sit 7th in the conference on 11 points and must win to ensure a spot in the playoffs. If they make it to the championship tournament, play will begin on Thursday, October 27th. For more information on schedules, live streams, and more, visit gohofstra.com. That's all your Pride Weekly. That's for your Pride Weekly update. We'll be right back.
Sports Beats, get your Sports Beats, only $1. Dre, my man, how's it going?
What are you doing?
Selling Sports Beats for $1. You want one?
Sure. Let me see. Oh, I got $1.
Here you go, my friend. Enjoy. Sports Beats, get your Sports Beats, only $1. Get them now. Sports Beats here. Get your Sports Beats here. Kate, Willie, can I interest you guys in a Sports Beat? Only $1. Here you go. Oh, fine paying customers. There you go, my friend. Enjoy, you guys. Yes. Sports Beats, get your Sports Beats here. Only $1. Only $1. Sports Beats.
Yeah, I know. Wait, I don't know. Yeah, you just stand down. Look at that. It's so sad. That's
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have on Sports Beat tonight. Thank you to our panelists, Antonio Schoenhardt, Santiago, and Chris Linney, as well as our update anchors, Rachel Fisch and Amelia Bashy. Special thanks also to Anja Suttner of the women's soccer team for joining us live here in the studio. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HofstraSB and tune in for our next episode on November 9th. Until then, I'm Chris Rotondo. Have a great night and happy Halloween.